Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Welcome to Islamic Economic Series. We are still in topic 3. At the moment, we are making a comparison between the Islamic economic system and the conventional economic systems based on the following criteria. The first one is on property ownership. Second is on incentive mechanism. And for today, we are going to discuss the third point, that is on the organization of decision-making process in each of the system. And lastly, we will discuss about market activities. Let's start. The process of decision-making is crucial in economics. In fact, economics is a social science about making decisions on how to utilize the resources. Different economic system has different emphasis on the process of making the decision. The key decision making here involves the process to find answers mainly to the basic economic questions. There are 4 basic economic questions central to many economic systems. The first one is the question about what to produce. Second, how to produce. Third, for whom to produce. And fourth, when to produce. To find answers to the question, it requires skills to make the right decision. So, when we say a capitalist system, this is a system that would put a lot of emphasis on the decentralization of decision-making process. In this context, capitalism gives a lot of freedom to the lower level of the system. Here what it means is that the private sector, mainly individuals and firms, have the freedom in making their decision. From these individual decisions, then resources would be channeled to fulfill what they want in the society. Firms would find the best possible way to produce the goods and services to meet the demand. And in this context, from market competition, firms would try to find the least possible cost. In relation to the second point above, the third point here suggests that a capitalist system is a market system, and this market system is driven by the notion of self-interest and rational behavior of the economic agents. Self-interest here means that every individual would pursue for his or her self-interest. For example, the objective of a consumer is to maximize his or her utility and consumption, while the objective of a firm is to maximize its profit. In pursuit for their self-interest, it is also assumed that human beings would make a rational decision. In general, the idea of a rational decision is when we want to maximize gain to ourselves and we want to minimize pain from ourselves. Translating that into economic activity in the context of a buyer would want to get goods or services that would maximize his or her utility. That's maximizing gain. And minimizing pain here would mean that the buyer would like to get the goods or services at the lowest price possible. Moving to socialism, the process of economic decision in that system is a centralized one. It means that major economic decisions are made at the upper level, therefore it is a top-down approach of a decision-making process. Because of that, there is less freedom for the lower level economic agents. In many socialist economies, the economic planning unit would decide on major economic decisions such as what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, and when to produce. So here we see the two economic systems take different approaches in making the decision. Capitalism relies on a market-based decision, while socialism relies on a central planning unit under the government authority in making the decision. What about the organization of decision-making process in the Islamic economic system. Few things to note before we go further. In the Islamic economic system, the government is part of the integrated economic system. Unlike capitalism, the Islamic economic system considers government as a crucial component of the economy in providing essential services, especially for the public. A quick comparison with capitalist system here is, a capitalist system considers government as a form of intervention. In modern economic textbook based on classical and neoclassical understanding, government is considered as a form of intervention. Whenever there is a government intervention in the economy, you would find the economic analysis would argue that the consequence is market and efficiency due to the intervention. Going back to the Islamic economic system, when it comes to economic decisions, how to utilize the resources, the Islamic economic system prefers market as a mechanism in making the decision. Before we go further to understand what's the difference between market in Islam and market in capitalism, which we will discuss in the next chapter, it is important to note that market alone is not sufficient in making the decision. Market has a lot of problems and shortcomings. Therefore, there is a need for the government to come in covering some of the shortcomings. Unique to the Islamic economic system, you will find terms such as the institutions of Ashura and Al-Hisbah. We will discuss about this inshallah later. This diagram shows a three-sector model of an Islamic economic system. In the previous slide, I only emphasized on two-sector model, that is, the integrated role of the government and the importance of market in making many of the economic decisions. In addition to the two, an Islamic economic system is mainly founded by the third sector. Another name for the third sector is the voluntary sector. If we want to understand a comprehensive idea of what is the Islamic economic system, it is not enough just to consider the system based on public and private sector. We need also to look at the third sector or voluntary sector. Most of this discussion about the third sector will be discussed when we get to the discussion on distribution and redistribution in the Islamic economic system. While we are in this discussion, our main focus is on the government and the market institutions. Earlier, I have stated the integrated role of the government. In setting up the Islamic economic system, we need to have the Islamic framework so that the system can function fully. Just imagine in the sirah of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam established the Islamic system in Madinah. So, an Islamic system, in particular to our concern is the Islamic economic system, is only possible when there is a serious political will by the government to have the system. And for that, one of the main important function of the government to achieve that is to establish the Islamic rules of the game in the system. What do we mean by the Islamic rules of the game? We are talking about a proper implementation of the Islamic rules and regulations, the Islamic Sharia, and we need to make the implementation of Sharia suitable to our modern context. A lot of interpretations of Sharia are required to achieve that. Second, another important role of the state is to provide a conducive environment for the Islamic agent to exist and effectively function in the system. We need an engagement from active citizens. And who is Islamic man? I have a specific video on who is Islamic man. Please check the video. But in brief, Islamic man can be both Muslim and non-Muslim. For Muslim, they should champion the cause to realize the goals of Islam. And for the non-Muslim, as long as they abide by the rules and regulation of the state and they agree to live in harmony with Muslims, they are considered as the Islamic man. The third important roles of the government in putting the Islamic system in place is to establish al-adl wal-ihsan in the system, justice and fairness in the system. The concept of justice is a wide one. We can discuss various things here, such as the concept of social justice, economic justice, and legal justice. The list could be long when we talk about the roles of state in the system, but these three are central in the process to establish an Islamic system. With these three roles in place, the implementation of an Islamic economic system would be easier to be realized. This hadith has been quoted by many Islamic economists as a dalil to show that the Islamic economic system prefers market as a mechanism to allocate the resources. If you look at this hadith, the event took place in Madinah when price of commodities in Madinah was high due to drought season. Some companions of Prophet ﷺ approached him and asked him to intervene into the market. Intervention here could mean price fixing. In response to their request, Prophet ﷺ told them to leave the matter to the qadar of Allah Ta'ala. And we could interpret this as to leave the matter to the market process where the adjustment of demand and supply would set an equilibrium in the system. Adam Smith would talk about the concept of the invisible hand. But in Islam, we don't accept that concept. We would say that market adjustment in the economy takes place according to the qada and qadar of Allah Ta'ala. Allah, He is the one. قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدَرًا. Indeed, Allah has set everything in due proportion. وَيَرْزُقُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. And Allah, He is the one that can give provision without limit. And Allah also mentions in Al-Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ ذُو الْقُوَّةِ الْمَتِينَ. So, all this shows that the power of Allah Ta'ala in controlling the allocation of resources and the provision to mankind. Note that this hadith alone is not the basis for us to say that everything should be left to the market to decide. There are other instances in the Sunnah of Prophet ﷺ where government would impose certain rules and regulations and even distributing wealth and income in order to achieve socio-economic justice. Verses of Al-Quran about zakat, for example, requires state involvement in collecting and redistributing the zakat, and that's a form of government involvement in the economy. The following are some examples of central roles of the government in the economy. The first one is the role of the state to eradicate poverty, especially by providing employment to the citizens. Second is to ensure stability in the value of money. We can talk about inflation management in the economy as well as exchange rate control in the economy. Third is to maintain law and order. Fourth, to ensure social and economic justice to prevail in the system. Next is to ensure social security in the system. Social security here refers to giving protection to the vulnerable groups in the economy, such as the orphans, single mother, old and retired people, and also the handicapped people. Those are the major groups. Social security needs to be provided to them in order to ensure they could survive and if possible they could be a productive individuals in the economy. One of the goals of the Islamic economic system is to ensure equitable distribution. Equitable distribution and equal distribution are two different things. We will differentiate the two in topic 5. An Islamic State also needs to become active in the international arena, especially to ensure international relationship harmony with other countries. At the same time, it is also a major role of the state to ensure the national security of the country as well as the national security of other Muslim countries. So these are some examples of important roles of the government in the system. Notice that the government is crucial in setting up a proper and smooth running system. The Islamic economic system considers the government as part of the integrated economic system. In comparison to capitalism, the Islamic economic system does not consider government as a form of intervention. Government is needed particularly to ensure social and economic justice to prevail in the system. From the example here, among other key roles of the government in that respect is in eradicating poverty, then in ensuring social security to the vulnerable groups, as well as in ensuring equitable distribution of income and wealth in the system. I think that's all for this topic. Please check my other videos, especially on Islamic men. Inshallah, I will see you again next time. Wassalam.